First day of September, and we're all thinking about that last push for summer fun. But as you head to the amusement parks one last time, how confident are you that the rides are safe? There have been a number of theme park accidents this summer. A little boy injured on a roller coaster at Idlewild Park in Ligonier, a boy killed on a water slide in Kansas, and 2 girls thrown from a Ferris wheel in Tennessee.
And Shannon, tonight, Action News investigates how to make sure rides are inspected. And it turns out parents can do their own homework before heading to the park. Pittsburgh's Action News 4 reporter Marcia Cipriani joins us live.
Well, Andrew, the rules for inspections, they vary across the country from state to state. But in some states, it turns out there are simply no required inspections at all. Beneath the laughter, the screams of excitement, and the joy of summer amusement is reality that thrill rides can injure or kill, even those that seem the gentlest.
It was just beautiful. Blonde hair, hazel eyes, just so funny and full of life.
6-year-old Kyle Foster was on the Cuddle Up at Kennywood when he was killed in 1979. It's a day his Aunt Jean Andrews will never forget.
When the cars were going around, the teacups, he fell on the ground, and when he stood up, he was going out of the cart, and my cousin's son was holding his hand, but it was so slippy, and sweaty that he fell out of the car and hit the next car and was thrown into the machinery where a spike went through both his kidneys.
Although Kyle died 37 years ago, the pain of losing him is fresh again after the summer tragedies in amusement parks across the country, including the death of a 10-year-old boy at a Kansas water park, the 3 girls who were injured after falling from a Tennessee Ferris wheel, and closer to home, Declan McLean's injuries after falling from the roller coaster in Idlewild. These accidents that have brought back devastating memories for Andrews have brought worry and concern to many others.
Folks need to have a comfort level.
Pennsylvania State Senator Jay Costa says there needs to be uniform rules, regulations, and inspections when it comes to amusement parks. Right now, there are not. According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, 8 states and the District of Columbia do not have state-administered inspection programs for fixed-site rides. Your safety and your child's depends on the state you're riding in. For example, in Florida, parks with more than 1,000 employees, such as Disney World, are exempt from state inspection since they have their own inspectors and inspect their own rides. Costa says the differences are a problem.
We have to push for consistency across the states with respect to the level of inspections, the level of criteria, and the state role and state oversight of that through the administrative and auditing functions.
In Pennsylvania, the State Department of Agriculture oversees the permanent parks such as Kennywood and Idlewild.
We have currently just over 1,400 private certified inspectors that are overseen by a supervisor and 3 full-time quality assurance inspectors.
Walt Rembrandt, the director of the Department of Agriculture, says rides are inspected at least every 30 days and every time a ride is set up. Plus, he says they pop in unannounced to check as well. Rembrandt says the full-time quality assurance inspectors were added in the early 90s, more than a decade after Kyle's death.
So my nephew would be alive today if there was any oversight of those rides. I truly believe that.
Kennywood officials tell me, quote, "We would not be able to comment on the 1979 incident given how long it's been and how much has changed over the past 37 years. However, they add, quote, "Safety is always the #1 priority at Kennywood. We dedicate tremendous resources to keeping our rides in top condition." And park officials say its standards meet and at times exceed industry standards. But Andrews believes amusement park rides should be covered by federal regulations to guarantee they are inspected often. The International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions opposes that. They claim, quote, "The chance of being seriously injured on a fixed-site amusement ride at a U.S. amusement park is 1 in 16 million. For Kyle's aunt, even those odds are too high. Kyle's mom, Linda Foster, sued Kennywood after his death. But her sister says going to court was too tough for Linda, so she settled for just enough money to bury him here in the sunshine because Kyle was afraid of the dark.
It's a life-changing for the entire family.
And Andrew says her sister simply couldn't live without Kyle.
She had killed herself. She drove straight into gas pumps on Route 30. But she didn't kill anyone else, which my dad was. And what was in her hand was a picture of Kyle.
That was less than 2 years after Kyle was killed. His mother was buried beside him at Jefferson Cemetery. Andrew says the recent accidents bring back so many memories.
It just Kyle was right back again. You know, I feel so sorry for these parents. I know what they're going. Their lives will never be the same. I mean, it affects every aspect of your life. Everything.
So with ride inspections and requirements different in each state, know the rules in the state you plan to ride. And don't assume that when you send your child on that next thrill ride, that they're safe. There are times they may not be.
I'll miss them forever.
Here in Pennsylvania, there are certainly ways you can tell whether a ride is safe while you're at the park and before you or your child ever get in line. Look for a Pennsylvania ID plate that'll be affixed to a ride in public view near where the operator runs that ride. You should also be able to see the current year's registration sticker there. That means it's approved, they have insurance, and an inspection on record. If you're still unhappy, there is an inspection report available on site. And if there's a problem, call the State Agriculture Department. They respond in 12 to 24 hours. For specific programs, safety programs for Kennywood and Idlewild, you can head over to our website at WTAE.com.